Alright, welcome back to Full House 7th edition, where we are playing Vanheim. It is turn 30. This one's going to be a pivotal turn, because we are attacking Pangea. So let's see, a messenger from Marverni. So they have been eliminated. I think I actually spoiled this last turn, because I'd seen the game chat, and they also mentioned in the game chat, the Discord, that they'd been eliminated. So didn't really get the story there, but goodbye Marverni. We finished research in enchantment 1 and 2. That's for our flight. That will become important if things shake out the way we're expecting them to. It looks like Pangea probably grabs, that's interesting, the Throne of Flames. So maybe they've made it onto land, but maybe the Throne of Flames spawned underwater. That would be kind of interesting. We do find a magic site, so we're still doing a little bit of site searching. There's a death site pretty far away from our active front, so we'll be able to bring some death gems in. We do like that. Then we have quite a few attacks of our own this turn. So let's see, there's a battle in Lanka. This is just a ping from our undead units who are just going to retreat. And so it does look like there's a thug hanging out. Maybe also set up to do like foul vapors. I'm not sure what else these nature gems would be. Maybe personal regeneration actually, because this definitely looks like thug kit. So yeah, Kailasa has quite a few of these thugs. Looks like they're, I don't know if I want to say mass producing them. I think these are fairly expensive to bring in, something like 20 astral pearls, give or take. But I mean, this is I think the third one of these that we've seen, so it does appear that they're able to produce them, at least it's not a one-off, let's put it that way. And they are patrolling, right? So this is good information. So they have a decent amount of province defense, nothing crazy, but the addition of that thug is a pretty big deal. It looks like, unfortunately, our remaining long dead collapsed, probably because our Mound King made it off beforehand. That's okay. The Mound King at least survives, although they're not really going to have anywhere to move to, so they're basically dead. So we got some information from them. That's really all we were looking for. This is us clearing out the barbarians, which, should go fine. We don't love getting smacked by the barbarians. Like, we take damage. There's probably going to be some afflictions from this. We may have actually lost a van here as well, but they do chop nice. So let's see. Yeah, no losses, but, like I said, we've talked. Every time we use the van here, there is a cost, even when it looks like it's free. This is one of our air elemental raids. We catch nothing. It'll be interesting to see if they do decide to use their air gems. So, this is a waste of gems, but, we could have bumped into someone. We don't have a ton of gems to be wasting, but we have enough air gems. Other than the Alquils, we haven't really spent too many. And then, not a lot of province defense here either. Kind of interesting, because I think this is more than 1 PD, but not quite 6 province defense. So, it looks like, I think 2. Which, isn't really enough to stop much. Certainly not enough to stop 2 air elementals. So, that's definitely a waste of gems. There's a lot of air gems to be spending for those provinces. But we do need to start raiding back. And, maybe we'll give Kailasa some pause, right? Because, the air elementals are something that could cause problems for their thugs, because they're not size 6, so they absolutely can be trampled. We do reveal some of our research there to them, but, I mean, that's the nature of it. And then, this is the important one. No patrolling. This is really interesting. Not a province defense dump either. I don't know. I was really expecting this to go a lot worse. I'm not really sure what Pangea's plan is here, because it seems like, right, they're somewhat focused on the White Centaur, and so now we've locked down White Centaur production. So, I mean, if it was me, I would probably heavily patrol the capital. But then again, right, we have spent a long time just dancing around the capital. It could be that there was quite a few turns that they were patrolling, and then they got tired of it. They're like, this is a waste of time. So they're off doing other things probably, sneaking around in our territory or attacking us. So that works out, but, we lose some of our siege chaff. It's, just the nature of it. We don't really have a secure back area that we can, bring the siege chaff up from, so they kind of just have to move with the army, and that means they fight with the army. So, sometimes some harpies jump in and kill them. There's not really much we can do about that. I imagine this is where, Pangea's main force went. Maybe half their stuff, maybe all their stuff. In terms of White Centaur, we definitely know there's a stack of Eneids and Satyrs on top of that other fort that they have. So even though we've locked down White Centaur production right now, we haven't locked down all troop production. Unfortunately, this is a province defense dump that we couldn't support. We were thinking we were going to get attacked here earlier, but we didn't. So yeah, it's just a waste of money now, and that's what happens. So we lose that province. We don't really kill much. Definitely not a good trade for us. And then this is probably the other thug. No, this is just a group of sacreds and looks like a few priests. No, it looks like a few astral mages, so maybe, body ethereal. Yeah, some body ethereal and luck spamming. Cool stuff. And then, yeah, this guy is the priest, or no, excuse me, this one is a prophet. Interesting, they're using their prophet, as part of a pretty minor raiding group, and I think this is where our undead would have retreated to, but yeah, it's pretty unlikely. Yeah, I think this is where they failed before with like a similar kind of attack, but we had undead here, right, but we expended most of our undead, so now without the undead, the units don't do too well. Although that said, we actually, we deal a decent amount of damage. They don't love the archer fire, and it looks like a few of them, didn't get hit with body ethereal. But this is not going to work out for us. So we lose that province, but we were expecting to lose that province. That's not too much of an issue. And then we catch a battle in Femoria. This looks like a storm, so this is probably curtains. Nope. Is just pinging, so they're interested to see what is inside of Femoria. We are also interested. Looks like there's just, some Furbolg infantry here, which aren't great, but decent enough chaff to hold the gap. And then, quite a few of their cap-only casters who are quite powerful. Yeah, very powerful air death mages. And it looks like, they at least have, what is this, Raised Dead? Yeah, so they can make quite a few skeletons and undead units. This is going to be kind of annoying, right? Because they will be able to block the gap, with a lot of summoned undead chaff. So I don't know, it depends on what kind of strategy has, but this might be a bit of a hassle in terms of, a fort, or in terms of taking that fort. And then let's see, there's a battle in Abyssia. A lot of capital battles this turn. So this is a storm, a full storm, so Sarmash is coming in, and Jianqi does not have a whole lot left in here. So they do have a few casters. They're doing some lesser elemental summoning, and yeah, they have one sacred, a little bit of infantry, looks like maybe a prophet, some desperation summons, as happens. Some of their river demons, which are pretty good summons, although I just think there's no way. The Oreopada are pretty solid. Do they have fire resistance? Yeah, looks like they do have fire resistance on the Blessed 10. That's going to help a lot. I think they also have magic weapons. So they're going to be able to cut through these elementals without too much difficulty. This isn't going to be without loss for Sarmatia, especially because, the wall archers are going to keep hitting them. The Oreopada don't have the best protection. They have decent protection, good protection, but short bows are still dangerous to them, especially if it takes a while. But there's just not enough here from Tianqi, so I think that's a pretty good win for Sarmatia. And they're probably going to be pretty happy with that. Yeah, let's see. They lose some macemen who are mercenaries, I think, and then longbowmen also mercenaries. The lizard warriors, they might be recruiting those, but in terms of their actual losses they care about, only 4 of their sacreds, so that's a pretty good win. They also take out, these 3? I think these are cap only. Yeah, they're pretty expensive if they aren't. So 3 expensive mages, otherwise nothing too important, but of course, Sarmatia does take control of a capital now, so that's a big swing in terms of gem income and money income. Speaking of swings in income, I don't think there's really no need to watch this. We left no one inside. They did not move the bull out, so they attacked with everything, because of course they didn't know that we moved out. There could be a stack of Vanhears in there waiting for them, but there was not, and so we lose a temple there, even if we do manage to recapture this fortification later, which we hope to, we plan to, but things aren't going great, obviously. So we may never return to this province, and there were quite a few gems in there. That was, of course, originally Pangeas that they grew in that forest. Speaking of forests, looks like some forces have emerged to attack us. Yeah, man, the independents just continue to be fierce in this game. There's a fertility festival. This makes me concerned and suspicious that a fertility cult will soon follow. And a series of unfortunate events. That's a lot of province income to be losing. That is unfortunate, but we do have Misfortune 3, so can't complain too much. And then, yeah, maybe these independents will provide some defense here for us, because I don't think we have much in the way of province defense, right? But there are some Vanheers that I forgot to move out. So I think actually we will end up holding on to this. One nice thing is, since our PD commander is a priest, he's able to bless these sacreds, because that's the reason that these Vanheers are still visible at all. We just didn't have a priest. We were bringing them up as reinforcements and just weren't able to connect with a Vanhearse. But since we have the PD Vanhearse, we are able to get the blesses off, which is pretty important. So we do hold that, but we probably won't hold it for long. Yeah, we do lose a Vanheer, sadly. That Ivy King, he's no joke. He spammed out a lot of bugs. So it's sad to be losing a Vanheer to independence, but I mean, that's what happens. And then it doesn't actually look like there's too much inside of Pangea. The walls are critically damaged. We may just hang out with everything. It is kind of dangerous, but I don't know. People say when you're in a 2v1, like, you really should focus on one of your opponents and eliminate them. And while I don't think we're going to be able to completely eliminate Pangea, because we're really going to need our army against Kael'thasa, it's probably worth hanging out and storming Pangea itself and holding on to that to make sure that no more White Centaur can come out. Even though we've traded pretty well with them, they're still really dangerous. So I think at that point, we don't have, even though Pangea won't be completely eliminated, we won't really have to worry about them too much, and we can afford to move like most of our forces away to try to deal with Kael'thasa, and Pangea won't really be able to rebuild effectively to become a threat. Whereas if this siege drags on, or if we get knocked off of Pangea, then absolutely Pangea will have a chance to get back into the game, and then that means that we have two opponents gunning for us. So I don't know, we'll see. But it is going to take Kael'thasa a few turns, and we do have a few sacreds already in place, so we will be able to mount a defense of our capital, and we are going to have the kill squad. We can sneak our air elemental summoners back, so we might actually have the strength to fight both of these wars, both of these opponents at the same time. I guess we'll find out one way or the other. And then we have two eliminations. Marverni we know about, but Ubar was also eliminated, which, yeah, we have no idea what happened there. Although now that I'm thinking about it, I do think Helheim was involved in that, which makes sense because Helheim gets Spirit Sight built into their sacreds, and that Ubar's units have invisibility, so it's a pretty big disadvantage if you end up spawning next to somebody that has Spirit Sight that completely cancels out that invisibility. And I will catch you guys after the cut. Alright, this is the situation and what we're doing about it. We are at least finally on top of Pangea's capital. Of course, our only reward for this is likely lots of assassinations, which we're not super ready for. We have distributed gems, but we know at least for the Vanhearses, they seem unlikely to summon lesser air elementals and will probably die. The Van Jarls definitely should have given this guy another gem, so we'll see. They might summon lesser air elementals, but I feel like in all battles, the mages don't like to get themselves very close to 100% fatigue when they're off script. So, and when you're getting assassinated, you're always off script. And elementals are usually very fatiguing to call in. So, we'll see how this goes. The dwarves as well, we might be losing. We at least have a stone bird on this fellow, and he is a Van Jarl. So, he's going to be a little harder to kill, even with, a bunch of swarm casts. But still, there is some danger that we end up with no leadership on this army. It's pretty unlikely. I had a brief moment of panic, but now that I'm looking at, I thought there were fewer commanders here, but thankfully we have reinforced, so we're pretty unlikely to run out of leadership entirely, but we might run into a situation where we're going to struggle to bless all of our sacreds, and there's a fair chance we're going to lose some of these dwarven randoms, which we would prefer not to. You never know, maybe we'll get lucky and they'll hit our undead leaders, although if we run out of undead leaders, the remainder of our undead will just collapse. No, actually, our Van Jarls have a little bit of undead leadership. We just won't be able to move the undead out of this province, which is fine. So anyway, this I think is halfway down. No, we're in better shape. Critically damaged. So next turn we will probably storm. We won't bother waiting. We'll see. There's a good chance Pangea sneaks back inside. Maybe even sneaks some stuff inside from their other fort. And then, we're going to have a heck of a time trying to dig them out of it. But we're running out of options and time, right? Because Bandar. And in terms of Bandar, we're mostly just retreating. We are moving, our kill squad over to this province here, in the hopes that, their thug moves here, and we're also mostly safe, although actually white centaurs are pretty fast, and I think even though this mountain pass is closed, it's a fair chance they're just able to move right through this Kalian territory into this province, which would not be ideal. We at least have a little bit of province defense, but the kill squad is scary for thugs. They would do less well against, what is this, 20 white centaur? Yeah, 21 white centaur and plus a bunch of minotaur warriors. So it's not like we wouldn't get some kills, but would not be an efficient use of our kill squad. So yeah, maybe should have guessed here. Hindsight 2020. Otherwise, we're mostly just bringing stuff back to the capital, which is more or less where we're planning on holding out. We're going to be bringing back our Van Jarls, the air elemental raids. We're not going to continue that really. I mean, we might mix in a few here or there. Also, a decent way potentially to take out some of these lesser thugs because they can get trampled. So we'll have to think about that, but mostly we're going to want them, the Van Jarls, that is, for the major fight. Not sure if we're going to try to take it on the capital, but in the meantime, while Bandar is moving in, we're probably actually going to clear this other throne. Always a bit questionable to be rolling into independence, while you're in the middle of losing, but that may confuse some of our other neighbors, right? Because it's Vanheim's clearing independence, throne independence, so he can't be that worried. And you never know what throne is under here, right? Could be somewhat useful. Could get tacked onto our bless. And we're gonna have 2 turns roughly for Bandar's main army, assuming they just beeline for the capital. So if we have a little bit of time, we're probably gonna clear the throne. Otherwise, we're either gonna have the final battle probably on Vanheim itself, or possibly our other fort. If Bandar decides that they want to reduce and take our other fort first. I don't think there's really much point in us waiting for that to happen. We already have way too few forts, for this point in the game. In terms of winning this long term, that's probably already escaped us a while ago. We certainly, can't lose our other only fort, to Bandar's army. So regardless of which fort they decide to hop on top of, that's probably where we'll fight them. Although, depending on how we're feeling, if everybody's back, gems are reloaded, research is in the right place. This province has could have a bunch of horse tribe, right? The PD type here is nice, and they more or less have to go. They could walk around it, right? There is some danger there. But it would be a bit of a long walk and an odd thing, and it's going to be hard for them to know exactly where we're going to defend. So we might try to set up an ambush here, because if we have a bunch of archers, right, to counteract some of their archer fire, that's also another possible way that we could go. So we'll see. That's kind of some thoughts in terms of the Bandar situation. This attack here is just our undead, the one undead and his vampire buddy. Do I think we're going to be able to take this province? No, but you never know. Could just be one PD. Research-wise, we are going up alteration right now. That is for Mist Form, which we've talked about. Also maybe a bit questionable. We would really like Enchantment 4 would be nice, because then we could cloud trapeze the kill squad, but I just don't think we're going to quite be able to reach it. And we can only cloud trapeze the kill squad if Bandar chooses to move the god out, and we also would have to use our Van Jarls for that. The Van Herses cannot, they don't have the right paths, they're only Air 1. We don't have a ton of Van Jarls yet. I think 4 that we can, utilize, and then also we might not be able to utilize them in an army fight to summon air elementals. So Cloud Trapeze would be really nice, but I don't think we're going to quite get there. Otherwise, we're looking at Evocation 3 and 5 are really the breakpoints we're interested in. 3 we might hit. We would probably hit if we cut Alteration. But we do need to also raid territory, right? And we have our first thug headed out over here. Yeah, this fellow. So he's got some gems, so he's planning on casting Mist Form on himself. We'll see about this kit. It's not really my preferred kit, but it's what we can make right now. It's also fairly expensive. Again, lots of problems with this bless. But, he can't cast Mistform on himself if we have not actually researched it, and that is going to help him a lot. And we're forging another one of those kits, and we'll probably keep forging those kits unless we lose a bunch of our counter thugs, our kill squad, in which case we'll have to switch back over. Because, we do need to start raiding territory, and eventually, once all of this resolves itself in our favor, we're going to make up the difference and grab a bunch of Kalian land, which we'll need a bunch of raiders for. So I do think the raiders are going to be somewhat useful against Bandar, although, again, Bandar seems pretty good. They're definitely well aware of the fact that Vanheim can raid, so we're going to have our work cut out for us. But we can also start to raid downright. Pangea has started raiding stuff back. Pangea has been leaving significantly less PD and hasn't really been leaving defenses in places. Just has a lot less resources than Bandar, so probably just a question of they unable to. So we can do some raiding in Pangea's territory, definitely. And, Bandar's territory is large enough, and as they start to push into our territory, they're less likely to leave a strong defense, so our raiders are going to have a better time coming up, hopefully. And I think that more or less covers turn 30.